Hey there guys, before we jump into the show, I just wanted to let you know that this is actually coming out a little bit earlier than usual due to the importance of the patch that we're going to be talking about today in this episode of Roguecast. Throughout the video, we do talk about it as if it's still coming out on Monday, but I've decided to bump it up, as I said, just a little bit earlier to today as sort of an emergency episode so that we can get this information out to you as quickly as possible. Hello, my loyal companions. Welcome back to Roguecast, your dedicated Rogue Company podcast. This is episode 5, and I am your host, Radthar, joined as always by my co-host, OctaneProTV. How you doing today, man?
Welcome back, everybody. We got quite a show for you guys this start tonight.
We do indeed, with the new patch notes just dropping. But to start off the show, Octane just wants to talk a little bit about our advancements with the audio world for the audio episodes of this podcast. So I'm going to throw it to him to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, awesome. So last week we talked about Spotify, and that was a big win for last week's episode. We've gotten a number of people that have downloaded on Spotify. We've gotten great feedback in the YouTube comments on what platforms you guys are looking for. So as of just a few days ago, actually, between the middle of the week, we did get the show on Apple iTunes. It was approved. It is up there and available. So I think what we'll do is have Radthar put a link for Spotify and iTunes down below in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And go ahead and check it out. Don't forget to follow so that you go ahead and get notified and that your mobile app or whatever device you're checking this out on downloads the latest episode when it drops. And then please leave us a review. If you guys drop reviews or give us 5 stars or 1 star, whatever you're really feeling, that actually helps those platforms' algorithms recommend our show to other people. So that would help expand the Rogue Company community with Roguecast. So please go ahead and do that. And we'll keep it going. Next week, I'm hoping to get it on Stitcher. So hang tight, and we'll kind of just keep punching away one each week. And our goal is right around 12 to 15 once we're done.
There you go. See, perfect. I've got a lot of good feedback, honestly, from the YouTube comments and from my Twitch chat and stuff, saying people are enjoying the audio format. Good when they're doing homework or whatever it is. So nice. I'm glad that's what does so well for you guys. But to start off the show, before we get into the sort of big patch note stuff that is going to be the main topic of the meet today, me and Octane have been wanting to discuss solo queue ranked for a good while now. And I know you particularly have been doing it a little bit here and there. So I wanted to get your take first on what solo queue's been like for you, what rank generally has been like for you, or just what the game's been feeling.
Sure. So as I talked about in previous episodes, I don't play a ton of rank, maybe once a week when I have the opportunity to. Last weekend, though, I spent a few hours playing ranked solo. It wasn't streaming. It was just I had the opportunity to play, so I played. I get just as triggered in solo as I do in pre-mades. But what I found was that I would queue solo, and I'd have one other competent person in my group. And like the other 2 people, you think you'd be playing with bots. And I know it sounds that terrible, but there definitely was a skill gap. And so I'm curious on some of the mechanics behind how they build these teams. It's like they grab semi-qualified individuals and then people that just decided to try rank today and smash them together. And I know it sounds terrible and it's probably not accurate, but we're talking about a game where one game that comes to mind in solo queue where it was myself and actually one of my viewers. We solo queued and we got each other. We weren't even talking or anything. It was like, oh, cool. And it was Egals. I don't know if you've ever seen Egals or played Egals, but him and I were in a game. We were on canals, and the 2 of us were using comms. We're talking. We're working through it. Nice. Our other 2 teammates had 1 elimination each the entire game.
Oh, that's not.
And
good.
it's like, come on. Like, listen, if we're doing placements or we've been placed in bronze, that's what I expect.
Yeah.
But like, not granted, I'm in the middle at that time. I was gold 2 at that time. So I don't need to be God's gift to the world, but it's like 1 elimination after after a full ranked game. It's like, come on, like this isn't even fair. Like, what are we doing here? Now, granted, I had other games in solo where I was the single guy and I was matched with 3 other guys that were partied together. They were cool. They were communicating. Nice. You can always tell when you have like Xbox players because they sound like they're playing Madden. Like, it's just like, like you can always tell Xbox and PS4.
Got the mic.
And that was fun. And that was fun. And they communicated well, and we ended up winning. And they added me. They always add you afterwards. Like, hey, let's play together again. So that was enjoyable. And it wasn't a terrible experience, but my win-loss ratio in solos was a pure 50-50, which would seem good. Like, hey, it's pretty accurate the way the system should be.
Mhm.
But then the other night, you, me, and a handful of others did pre-mades.
Yep.
Now, granted, our pre-made group, I was the lowest rank.
Yes.
I was gold
Gold.
2 starting out. I only needed like 4 points to get the gold 1. And by the end of the night, I was platinum 5. So we
You're
had
welcome.
ranked up a few times. But thank you. Myself was in there. Hey, it's okay. When I play with these guys and they're higher ranked than me and I do better than some of them,
You did
I feel
slay.
good
You
about
did
myself.
slay. You put that video out on
Um,
YouTube today, actually, didn't you? That
yes,
was
yes, I
today's
did.
video.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yep.
That was a good one. That was good. You
The
really
one with the
you
executioner up top.
beamed. Yeah, you beamed. I'm there just like Octane, Octane.
I know. But on that night, it was you were rogue rank, and then 2 platinums, and then I was high gold there, and then moved into platinum. And I would say our games were 50% easy peasy, and then 50% of close games. Like,
Yeah.
hey, it could go either direction. But other than that, that's been my experience so far. I would say ranked is still very enjoyable to me, but I have no interest in playing solo again.
No.
I'm just gonna,
Put it
I
out
don't
there.
expect a steamroll, but I am all for your 7-6 wins, soon to be 9-8 wins.
Oh.
But other than that, yeah, we'll get into that. Other than that, rank's been good for me. What about you?
Okay, so I have been playing a lot more solo recently. So I did finish my main account journey. I got to Rogue, lovely, lovely, lovely. Still leveling up the Smurf account to get to the level 30 on that. Then do solo queue to Rogue. So I haven't officially started that account yet, but I do videos on my channel where I play full rank gameplays and I talk about different rogues or strategies, and I like to do that in solo queue because it's kind of authentic. Right? They can see the pain as I go through it all, and they can apply that.
How's that experience casual queuing at low level like that?
Okay, I'll talk about that first because that's very interesting. That is just a breeze. I think I've hit the point now where the game's like, no. I think my account name is SnakeStarGaming after the snake emote. So yeah, SnakeStarGaming up until about level 20. It was really lovely, and then I got to level 20. It's like you doing something funny, man. And but now I'm getting sweats all the time again. So it is what it is. But pub demo, I almost did a video on this. Pub demo is no training ground at all. You do it up to level 30, and if you do it past level 30, there's no point. Like, it's so easy.
Really?
Like, run around with a melee weapon. I got 7 downs in 1 round. Kind of easy. Like, it was kind of nutty. So yeah, that was very kind of questionable. As for the rank though, the solo queue that I've done on that has most of the time been very painful. And you said you had at least 1 competent player on your team. I would have been so happy for that. Because it's not even that I don't think they're competent. It's that when they just don't perform like at all. Like I was with literally just before this show, I was with a level 370 something. Basically my level. I'm like, I got good things. This man didn't even know how to ADS. Like he didn't know when the best time to ADS rather than hipfire was at these ranges. I'm like, if you ADS there, you would have got the kill easy. And like little things like that. And I don't know why when you're playing solo and you're with other people playing solo, it's so much more difficult because. I just don't get it, and personally, I'm probably a bit of a problem because I don't actually go on comms most of the time because I'm recording a video. I don't know what they're going to say. A lot of videos have been ruined by that in the past, so I do stay off comms for a fair amount of the time, which is probably partly my fault. But again, you should be able to communicate through pings, and everyone has a mic, so I hope.
Do you find that you get any part of a pre-made at all, or do you find it all seems to be solos? Like everybody seems to be in their own world that you can tell.
I think I maybe get some duos in there. The problem is, and this is actually what I found, and this is what's really interesting for me, is I move between EU and NA all the time because I find it interesting. EU, I find there seems to be more solo queue players, and it's way more rough. The games are actually like more rough because of it. Like there's a big skill disparity between most people. Like I'm pretty confident as a player who's played at my level, played for my amount of time. I can outgun pretty much anyone I go against. Like unless I know they're a crack comp player. I'm pretty confident I can outgun somebody. So it's really disheartening when I go into a game. No, I'm outgunning everybody, getting 3 downs, but because all 3 of my team have died, I then get picked off by being team shot all the time. So it's really painful. And that is EU for me. EU is full of solos or maybe even duos but then you've got the language barrier in there from people from Spain or from France who are speaking their own languages, which is pain. And then I moved to NA East, right? And NA East is, I would say, the average player appears better than EU, which blows my mind because in every other game it's completely reversed. EU tends to be dominant over North America. But the real issue I run into on NA is 4 stacks. Every game is a 4 stack. And I played one today, and it broke my heart when I found out. I was against some Twitch streamers that I know and some comp players that I know. And I was like, there's no way these 4 people have just been matched together. They've got to be 4 stacking. And I know 2 of them definitely played together, and 2 of them definitely played together. So I'm like, okay. They've probably just joined up and made a 4 stack. After we got hammered that game, of course, because I was with 4 solo queue players. I go into the guy's stream, and I'm like, GG's man, solo queue be rough. And I see he's not format manning. They're actually doing 2 2-mans. And the game didn't decide that, hey, these 2 great players can go on this team, and these 2 great players can go on this team. It said, you know what, no, you put them on the same team and put them up against a bunch of solos. So I'm under the impression that the game is like, okay, you know what? Here's 8 players, however they are, however they're stacked. Let's just randomize where they go. And there is no authority on like, hey, they've got a 2, so they should have a 2, and they've got the rest solos, so they can fill in there. And that's what's really painful for me at the moment, is just if I play EU, the games are just bad, and I have teammates running and die all the time, and it's just painful. Or if I go NA, I'm always against 4-mans. And that's all like apparently 2 sets of 2-mans, because that's fair. And that's the struggle I'm dealing with right now.
I've seen a lot of conversation amongst partners and other chats and discords where people have brought up the fact of should there be a separate queue for pre-mades, which I don't agree with because I don't think the game is big enough as of now.
I agree with that.
Or should they just have to wait longer? So like if you're a 4-man, you have to go against other 4-man, so the queue time could be longer, which nobody complains about queue time in Rogue Company.
No.
Especially, but that is due to the fact that they have said we want to put a threshold in place so you at least get to play. But even then, people don't mind waiting longer. So that's one conversation that has come up. Same thing applies with like, hey, you have a 3-man. Okay, you're getting queued against a 3-man, and then they're gonna fill in with solos and stuff. So I would love to see that. I've seen that conversation come up because there is no reason a pre-made goes against 4 solos.
No.
Like there's no reason. That's just unfortunately that's just lazy development work. And it's like you should have thought that out a little bit more. You could have delayed ranked an extra week. Like we'd be okay with that. So but yeah, that's my thought on rank right now. But other than that, I'll keep playing it because I'm enjoying it. But I will not go solo. I will not do it.
I do not blame you at all. And yeah, I kind of agree. I do think there should eventually be a solo/duo and then 4-man queue as the options. Because I think that's the best way of doing it. It's also the best way of actually testing how good people are. Because if you're in a solo queue versus other solo queues, you know, in theory, the better players, the ones who reach rogue rank in that queue, deserve to be rogue rank. They're the best players in the game because they're able to be on even playing grounds. Whereas, honestly, and this is kind of what, you know, when we played together, I don't think we've lost a game together because I only played only one game that other night, and we crushed it. But most of the time I play 4-mans, I win. Like when we were talking about like my initial journey, we won every time I played with the boys. I played with those guys who were in the two stack afterwards. And we just steamrolled, 2 or 3 lobbies there, and it's like, it's just really easy to 4-stack, and I really want that queue separation, but I agree, there's not a big enough player base at the moment. There's literally just not a big enough player base. It wouldn't work. So bigger queue times maybe work. 8 minutes is probably what I'd say is fair to wait. 8 minutes.
I got two questions before we jump into the meat and potatoes they call it the show. First question: should placements, now that you've seen it, allow pre-mades? And second, should they disable ranked until they can fix queuing?
Ooh.
So if people aren't aware, and we'll release it now, you could go ahead and queue with anybody in any rank.
Oh, that one. I know what you mean.
The system that they put in place that was supposed to increase the competitive play and have players playing closer together is broken.
Yeah.
2 nights ago, Radthar Rogue rank played with 2 platinum players and a gold player. Scott Gandhi, tell me how. Well, we know how. Yeah. So I'm not going to spoil all those right here, but I will say that needs to be fixed, and if you don't fix it, disable ranked.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't have ranked in place, promote your system that you only play against people within 6 tiers, and then this bug's in place and you haven't disabled the ranked. Like, disable ranked for a week and fix it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
do you know what's really interesting on that point? I'll answer your questions, and I'll say for that one about the thing. I would say clarify as well. I think what it means is the rank system has said that you cannot party up with people who are outside of 6 divisions of your rank.
Yes.
So
Yes.
everyone's closer together with who you party up with, and there is a exploit, bug, issue, whatever you want to call it.
It's a bug. I wouldn't call it an exploit. It's a bug.
Bug that you can use. Is that not a kind of an exploit? It's like it teeters the line a bit.
As we talked about on Friday, or during ranked games, we talked about the fact of, if it is considered an exploit, you got to fix it within a week, or else it's not on the players. In my mind, it's on the developer for not fixing it.
Yes, I agree. And on that note, I with that bug in place where you can now remove that system. Also, by the way, they should remove it until they can fix it, because I have seen a level 2 in ranked, and because it worked outside of just people outside your rank. Literally,
I didn't know that.
You can play with a new account in ranked. Your first game in Rogue Company can be a ranked game.
Does it consider them a placement? Does it consider it a placement?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
So pain.
That's one way to get like smurfed in real easy.
I know, right? I would if I wasn't solo queuing this series, I probably would have done that and done it off level 1, because who cares? What was the other question you asked about?
The other question was on your placements.
Oh yeah.
After you've played a few weeks now of ranked, do you feel placement should require solo queues only to gauge your true skill level versus allowing pre-mades? Because if you allow pre-mades, you could be queuing up, and just like we talked about, you could have a rogue person, with somebody that's doing their placements.
I'm gonna say, in theory, yes, that should absolutely be the case. In practice, I don't think it should, because the rank system again doesn't mean anything anyway. Being rogue rank doesn't mean anything, so who cares? Like, honestly, in practice,
then
like,
why have a rank system then? Why even have one?
Don't know. It's strange. Again, when I see someone like who's rogue rank, I'm like, damn, you definitely deserve to be there. That's not what I think.
Sure.
It's like, you probably full-banned it. If you solo queue it, you got my props. You deserve to be rogue rank. It's a tough grind.
100%.
I'll be doing it.
100%.
Elvin just did it, I think. Elvin Calderon just finished it. He finished it last night. I stayed up 5 hours past my bedtime to watch him do it. But yeah,
he rated me the other day, so thank you once again.
He did. He's a top guy. He's a top guy. But yeah, so I don't think rogue really means anything. Therefore, I don't think the placements really mean anything.
Okay.
And because you can just force stack after the placements, force stacking during your placements, the reason you posed it, we said it's a true gauge of your skill level. Ranked isn't a true gauge of your skill level, so it doesn't matter. Honest, that's my take on it. But in theory, yes, I think if the system were to be developed and matchmaking be better, yes, you should have to solo queue your placements if it was a true representation of actually how. But not that any of that's going to matter, because changes are coming. We all love change. PTS server is up this weekend. Did you see the dates they put for the PTS server?
First I did, because they must have changed it. Because at first it said
February 27th, I just see it right now,
at 8 a.m. and then it said March, right?
December. It was December 7th. That was when it was.
And I was thrilled about that. I was like, thank God. We have weeks of testing. We're going to nail down the bugs. We're going to get great feedback. And then I told Radthar right before the show, I'm re-reviewing the patch notes. I messaged him. I said, give me a second. And I saw that and went, well, shit. Now we got not even 20. Now we got 24 hours of PTS, and then they're going to roll that sucker forward.
Yeah, so looking at the 27th, so Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern up until the end of Sunday, so right at midnight on Sunday. So that's how long we have for the PTS.
Stamp it for live. It's going live. Bugs or not.
Next week, let's go. So yeah, that's the PTS. And in this PTS, we have the patch notes for it. Brought a lot of changes. And I mean, there's not even understand when we say a lot. One of which is Seeker. I think that's where we're going to start off with. Then we're going into the balancing and the game mode and stuff like that, which is really more the meaty stuff. So I'm going to take a look at Seeker. Obviously, you got the new weapon, the Sahara, which is an AR. Interesting, a new weapon. I'm surprised they brought out an AR. When I saw the model on the leaks, I was like, that could be an LMG. That has an almost LMG look. They just brought out an AR in the Riptide for Kestrel, so maybe they'll go LMG because we only have one LMG. It's slightly disappointed that it was an AR, but whatever. A gun's a gun. They're also bringing back the Aaron, which is interesting. And then
which,
more
for those of you guys not familiar,
that's true.
The Aaron was Phantom's DMR.
Yes.
So prior to Phantom in the last patch getting swapped to have the Nightshade as the additional weapon, and we all knew this. We all knew they were taking the Aaron out to go ahead and give it to another rogue.
Yeah.
So this is unique, I think, to see a character now with an AR and then the DMR.
Yeah.
It kind of lines up with a lot of the DMR characters, though.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think based off his playstyle that I'm predicting is a Wilson. But I want to break down the weapons ever so slightly. Okay. Both of them, in fact, because I think there might be a small change with the Aaron. The Sahara Assault Rifle, based off the numbers, it is very similar to the HRM, which is Trench's and Dallas's Assault Rifle, is the one with the massive kick. It has a faster fire rate, so it will shoot a little bit quicker, but it has less handling and less range. So it's a slightly shorter range version with a bit more kick, but faster fire rate. I don't know what my initial thoughts are on this. I mean, I guess we have to play with it really to figure it out, but in theory, it's like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I love the HRM. I've just recently really got into the weapon, so I don't know how bad this is gonna, or how good or bad this is gonna be. What is your initial take on it? You got any idea?
If this is anything, kind of like the HRM and stuff like that. So those of you guys not familiar, this will, if this is the case, it will punish you a little bit for lack of accuracy and lack of recoil controls, but it will do well from the body damage and damage perspective. I'm okay with that. It takes this character and says, okay, like look at Kestrel, who just came out. Both of her weapons have a pretty decent fire rate in that regard, and so this right away says this is not a Kestrel character. This is not a burn and turn type of character, with their weapons, spray and pray character. So this is a little bit more, the accuracy is a little bit more important. The control is a little bit more important. I actually think, and we'll get more into the kit, but from a high level, his kit reminds me of somebody that has a higher skill curve to him based off of the gadgets and based off of some of the things we'll get into. So I'm okay with it. I haven't seen the gameplay yet. We'll kind of find out tomorrow. PTS goes live at 8 a.m. if we didn't mention it previously. But yeah, I'm excited for it. We'll kind of see what we get into.
Yes, it should be an interesting gun. As for the Aaron, I think it's going to be unscoped. I don't know what your thoughts are. I would be my prediction.
You think?
I think they've moved away from scopes.
You think?
Why would you take away the scope from Saint and not take it off the Aaron?
So if you take it away, then it lines him up with some of the other DMRs out there.
I actually really quickly want to test this because I didn't quite test it before, and I'm going to compare it right now to the MXR. Because I've got the numbers here and I've got the MXR numbers, and I just want to test it. Body damage is the same. Fire rate is faster on the Aaron. Range is better. Handling is much better. Magazine size is the same. Reload speed is faster. It is a better version of the current MXR within the game.
Wow, which is so interesting because it's so interesting because they, in the last patch, those of you guys aren't familiar, they did nerf the MXR a little bit. So, and I definitely have started to tell the difference. Over the last week or two, I've been playing a little bit of Trench here and there, which is one of my favorite rogues in the game because of the MXR. And I have gotten frustrated with not being able to down people as fast as what I used to be able to do. And so if the Aaron is the direct replacement of that, that makes it really difficult. I would have been okay if they matched up the Aaron versus the MXR and they had the same. But the fact that the Aaron is better, it's like, to me, that's a no-brainer.
In every way. Unless it's scoped, in which case people might get annoyed with it. That's the only thing I can see. The balance has to be that it's scoped, actually. Otherwise, otherwise there was no point using any weapon. That would, because the MXR was, before last patch, the strongest weapon in the game, and in my opinion, still is pretty strong. So making just a better version of it is just going to be nuts. Like, especially the fire rate. That fire rate is what the bugged fire rate of the MXR basically was. So, and with the same body damage and better range, it's going to be a beamer, especially if it's unscoped. Personally, if it's scoped, I don't care. I enjoyed the scopes, but I know a lot of people don't. So yeah, interesting to see how that one will turn out. That might be his weapon of choice, especially if the Sahara isn't as good, because people don't like the HRM really. So why would they like the Sahara? I don't know.
You might see the Sahara more on like a strikeout style map.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
The MXR was still a favorite of all maps,
I totally
wasn't it?
agree.
You know, so.
I totally agree. I mean, but you got to look at those people that play like Dahlia and play
True.
with her SMG versus on the flip side with the DMR. So yeah, no,
Hey.
definitely exciting stuff.
Well, let's get into his secondary, by the way, is the A30 Salvo. That, by the way, I think is the worst gun in the game without Scorch's ability. Like, let's be real. Like, with Scorch's ability, that thing can melt a 3-shot at any range. It's great. Without Scorch's ability, it's a pea shooter that basically does nothing. And so he's pistol round.
What other pistol would you have preferred on this character? Anything. Okay,
like,
I would say not the Executioner.
Well, no, because there's too many.
So many Executioners out there, and he already has like the Aaron, so it's like you already have some. Like I tell people all the time, like I use the Executioner as my DMR on Vi because like it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, would we go the Warrant route? I just feel like we're getting too many characters with the Warrant.
I mean, the Revolver. You know, Olympic Games starting pistol. Kind of vibe, maybe.
That's actually not a bad idea. That's actually really not a bad idea. Especially if he's like an Olympic, marksman and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Interesting.
To be fair though, then his kit is already very similar to Dallas's, especially when we get into his ability, which is a reveal of some sorts. He's got an AR, a slow, heavy hitter AR. Both of them have that. A good DMR, both each. Then if you put them both on the revolver as well, like maybe the kits are too similar.
They could add in, which might fit more of this. Like he just seems like this, like small, like athletic type of character based off of what we've seen.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the P250? So the P250. Okay, well, there's also a P250 out of CS:GO as well.
Okay, so that's where I know from. Yeah.
It's not as strong as something like an Executioner, which is kind of based off of the 1911. It's a smaller gun in general. It has a little bit larger clip size, and it doesn't hit as hard as an Executioner, but it has the accuracy of an Executioner. That may be something an avenue that we could have went. Theory crafting here, right on Roguecast. But that could have been a cool idea for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just think the Salvo is a really weak weapon. And I'm actually afraid they'll buff it to accommodate for that.
Just because of this?
Yeah. And that will very much buff Scorch, because Scorch's pistol with her ability is insane. Without the ability, it's just a pea shooter, though, honestly. So we'll see how that goes. Yes. Gadgets are the Sticky Sensor and Bounce Grenade, which I really like. I think Bounce Grenade is a great option. When we get into his passive, that will tie in.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
And the sticky sensors are, honestly, I have been using them so much recently on Phantom, are one of the best pieces of equipment in the game. Like, honestly, you get them on the right map in the right situation, they can hold down and give you so much information. The one I love is lockdown. If you're attacking and going through to B, so the inner bit, throw it on the door, on the mid door. When they open the door, it goes up with the door, but still reveals the same area. So anyone who peeks even because you can not only see them in the doorway, but also on the cover in the doorway, so you can pre-aim and pre-shoot that so easily. And I love it. I think there's so many good angles for sticky sensors, and I think they're a really great addition. So I'm glad he has them as well. Perks are Berserker, Padded Steps, Bounce Back, Stalker, Life Drain, and Lifeline. Why? I don't know why he's got a Lifeline. Why have we got to give everyone Lifeline? He's not a medic. I don't. For me, it's a whatever. Like, fine, give him Lifeline. It's whatever. Like, there's better options. Yeah. Like, there's nothing to say really. But now we get into we'll start the passive. The passive is Ricochet, and this means that projectiles deal.
Did you go over the active ability?
No, I'm gonna do that after. I always find out passive and then ability.
Okay. Hey, we're following patch notes here, okay? We're following patch notes. That's fine.
Not in this world. Projectiles deal 60% more damage when bounced. So the bounce grenade will really hit.
This is forcing your gadget. Like, this is literally forcing the bounce grenade, like, round one. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Why would that? You need to. Like, I mean, you would kind of, and I mean, you may opt for the sticky sensor at round one, but I assume this also goes off for grenades and stuff as well, or because they don't necessarily bounce, but they do bounce. They don't have a bounce mechanic, but they do.
So pretty much, you're gonna be running around being like, "Hey guys, hit me up on comms when you see a grenade. I need it. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me." Like,
I mean, kind of like if you pick one up, like they're deadly. And I think Die Hard was in my chat earlier when I went through these and gave me the numbers on it. It puts the bounce grenade up to dealing 200 damage roughly, and a frag grenade doing 240 damage.
Well, that's the counter tenacity as well. It's just like a no-brainer. Like it's downing you even if you have tenacity or not.
I mean, we'll get to tenacity in a second. I don't think you
Get
even
to
need that.
tenacity.
I don't think you need the passive to counter tenacity anymore.
Oh my
So
goodness.
now the main ability, Arrow Scanner, fire an arrow that reveals enemies along its flight path. I'm gonna let you take the floor with this one and your thoughts.
Yeah, so based off of our original theory crafting in the last episode on Seeker, we knew very little. We just knew that he had a bow. We talked about the fact that most likely it's going to operate kind of like Dima, where Dima has a grenade launcher, but it's only available when he uses his ability. So this is that exact case, so we were correct. Kudos. This is though quite unique. So we talked about that this would most likely be some type of reveal. We weren't surprised with that.
Nope.
I'm okay with that. It also reminds me a little bit of who was I playing the other night on Valorant? So I played Valorant for like the first time the other week.
Sova.
Who was Sobra?
Yeah.
Okay. And this reminds me exactly of that character.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that it is during flight versus the ricochet bounce or anything like that. I'm okay with this. I think there's a lot of room for balance with this.
Yeah.
The width of that reveal, the length of that reveal, these are all things that are really important. I mean, I'm just starting to think through like, let's just talk about lockdown because we just talked about it. You're on one side of lockdown, you just pop the ability in the beginning, shoot it across the map. How much does it reveal for you? It's like, all right, they're all going B.
Yeah.
Like
literally.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it has a max distance, like kind of like a grenade, you can only shoot it so
Yeah.
far. It lobs, you know, like kind of. I think there's a lot of. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it without seeing it fully in practice. I think a lot of people will get creative with it and like, where do you know, hey, if you start here and you fire it there, it'll hit this, this, and this. So I'm okay with it. What are your thoughts on it? Are you pleased with another reveal? Did you prefer damage? Where was your head at?
I would have preferred damage. I would have preferred a really nice bit of damage or something. Something where the arrow bounced off walls and then landed somewhere and did a big blast radius. Something like that would have been really fun. But I don't... I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, two things that are big questions for me. Does the arrow bounce? So could I shoot it, say Icarus, shoot it from the patio and bounce it in there and get it to the other side? And
I doubt it bounces. I doubt it based off the description.
Based off that, yeah. But then how many angles are there where that flight path is going to be that good? Like, it might be something underwhelming to me based on how wide that reveal is. Like you said, like if it's like an arrow but it reveals like 5 meters to either side of it, that might be okay, you know, because you could just like use it to pre in the corner or something. Can you reclaim the arrow? You know, maybe you can. If you stick it into a wall, maybe like Ronin knife, you come pick it up and you fire it somewhere else. That would be pretty cool. You know, can it go through walls? Now, I don't think so based off the realism of Rogue Company. Whereas I know Sova from Valorant, he can shoot his ult through a wall, which is really a good mechanic. I think that would actually be really nice, but just doesn't make sense in the realistic version that Rogue Company does adopt in its like physics and stuff. So, yeah, I'm interested. I don't think it's gonna be that strong. I might be wrong. I don't have enough information, is what I'm really.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny though because we're recording this now. It's Friday, guys, the 26th, but you won't hear this until Monday after PTS. So people are gonna, you know. So just a thought, people are gonna know. So we're gonna be wrong within a day later.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Let's make a prediction. Make a prediction right now. Okay. He is gonna be the most broken rogue in the game. Okay, but it's Octane. I can't believe that Seeker is that broken. His if you stick someone with his arrow, he does 1,000,000 damage to the entire map. Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Right.
That's my prediction.
Okay, I like it.
Do you think you'll be able to damage with the arrow? If you get a direct hit with the arrow, do you think it'll kill someone?
I want to say, if it does,
should.
That would make it.
It should.
What if it hits you and it almost acts like a flare, like in other games where like it almost burns, so it's like a tick damage?
That would be interesting.
So that would be kind of cool, where like it's not a high damage, but it's a small tick damage.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Let's take it up another. Okay, theory crafting. I shoot Radthar with it, and it sticks to him, ticks damage, but it still reveals as he's running around with it.
Nice. I'm just there burning.
That would be sick.
Yeah, it would be
That'd
cool.
be so cool.
If you ran like you were like hopping on one foot every time, like you were just jumping, like like just like because you're burning. Did you know there's some interactions like that in the game? Did you know when you get Dahlia rezzed, the person getting rezzed puts their thumb up right at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
As soon as they're getting arrived, they're like, then she's like, there, get back on your feet. They're like, yep. And
Wow,
as they get up,
that.
I saw it the other day. I'm like, oh, really? So yeah, you never know what they can do. But yeah, that's Seeker. General thoughts. Need to see him more. Need to see the weapon more. Need to see the ability more. And I think we'll make an informed decision
We definitely
based on that.
we definitely gotta keep a closer eye on the Aaron the next
100%.
few days when we get
Yeah.
into that, because I think that's gonna be this is overpowered, needs to be fixed pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's go on next on the patch notes then is going to be the changes to game modes, which honestly is going to bring into a lot of the balancing changes we're going to get into, I think. So I'll kick us off with Strikeout. I'm going to demo off that.
He skipped it. Oh my god.
Strikeout,
Okay.
nice and simple change. Tickets are being increased from 12 to 16. Extra 4 lives, going to extend the game a little bit, offer more kills. Starting cash has been increased from 12,000 to 13,000. That is due to some of the economy changes we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But doesn't change much, honestly. And the new map Hollows, which we will talk about also, has been added to the map rotation, which is lovely. I'm glad about that. Honestly, not much to say about that in my eyes. Cool.
No,
a little bit longer.
it's not a huge thing.
I don't mind. A few more kills. Works for me. Demo.
All right, let me start demo.
Thank you. Thank you. I need you to.
All right. So this one is unique. So those of you guys not familiar, Demolition currently is first team to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that in mind, you could have a 7-6, which could go. That's 13 rounds. So you could go that length there. So you could go that full amount of time. What they're doing now is rounds increase by 2 per half. So what that means, if you guys aren't familiar, there's like 2 halves in a Demolition. One team's attack, one team's defend, then swap sides. The first team to reach 9 wins now. So in reality, we could now go a 9-8. And I gotta ask, where in God's name are the developers taking their feedback from? Because it's not the community. And
yeah,
I as everybody says in the YouTube comments on these videos, I say it as how it is. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't come in, kind of playing politics.
No.
What is the logic behind taking a game that is already 7 rounds for your first win, which already takes 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, and now you want to add first team to 9? Where's the community drive for this that is kind of cranking your arm back, forcing you to increase this? It's not balance. It's not community demand. This is literally just purely developers trying to pivot the game. Yeah. And so that's my perspective. What is your perspective?
I agree. I think it has to be, because I was specifically asked about this not too long ago, like about a month ago. I was asked about this change. Scott DM me and said, what do you think about if we were to increase Demolition round? And my response was, no, don't do that. No need. Absolutely no need. The game is great. It's a perfect length. A 7-0 is as quick as a stomp should be. No one should be dragged through it any longer than they need to be. A 7-6 is perfectly enjoyable to watch and intense. I dislike watching Valorant games because this first of 13. That means it's a best of 20 or best of 25.
That was like the other night when I played Valorant. I played and on comms. I stream. Those of you guys aren't familiar. I stream a new game like every Thursday night that I just either haven't played in years or I've never played before. And we jumped into one and I'm like, how many rounds is this? And you guys are like, first to 13. I'm like, holy cow! I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's so long.
This is insane.
And
do you remember my comment? So earlier today, Radthar was streaming, reading through these patch notes,
crying.
Do you remember the one comment I made about console players and first to 9?
Yes, you said that console players already struggle to connect for 13 rounds. Now we're boosting it up to 17. And you're right. You're so right. Like, Switch players can't connect. Console players just struggle to connect sometimes. PC Master Race. But yeah, no, it's yeah, and now you're just increasing more time for people to be able to accidentally leave a game when it's more invested in it. And you're taking what is a 7-6, which might be about 25 minutes, honestly, 30 minutes, to what will be a 35-minute, 40-minute max game, and that is not enjoyable. That's just not enjoyable.
Who is this catered to? Like, if you think through it, okay? So Demolition naturally is not catered to your casual player.
No.
It's more of your try-hard competitive. I'm not talking about, hey, you got to be God's gift to the world esports player. This is more of just the game is catered towards casual strikeout. And then on the flip side, your Demolition is more of your try-hards or stuff like that. With people jumping on it's a free-to-play game, which means your demographic is younger. People jumping on, have a few minutes before mom and dad kick me off, or I got to go to school or homework, or whatever. I feel like we're gonna have a higher level of AFKs now. Like with the increased rounds, that now means more people AFKing or just quitting out. Have they changed the amount of rounds that you have to have until you can surrender? I didn't see anything about that because now, but it's like, these are all the things that I think aren't being accounted for. So as I said, my first initial thoughts on this, who is asking for this? Because it's not being driven by the community. I'm telling you that right now.
And you know what? Honestly, it makes sense from a competitive level. Longer games mean more competitive integrity because you have a bigger chance for a comeback. You have to prove yourself more times against the team. More chance for adaptability. More plays that have to be made. But from what I see, every comp player I've honestly talked about says, why the hell is this going on? So whilst it probably is catering for a comp scene, I don't know who in the comp scene wanted it. And I know content creators that have been asked, like myself. I said no. I said don't do it, please. Like, don't. There's just no need. And that is a theme with some of these changes. By the way, I was asked about a few of these changes like a while ago. Not knowing that they were coming. It was just like an idea that was floated, and an opinion that was asked, and my response was no to a lot of the things we're gonna see today. And that is what has annoyed me the most. Is I was like, and it's exactly the same as I was talking about Sigrid. And Scott asked me about Sigrid and said, how do you think Sigrid could be fixed? And I said 2 key things. Don't get melee through the shield. Fix it so I can regen my health. We will get onto the melee thing in a second. But the being shot and health stopped through the shield when you're shot and no health regen is still a thing, and that pains me. So yeah, it's been increased. The rounds have been increased. The money has been accounted for ever so slightly, so you earn less per win and loss by 1,000. So if you lose, it's 1,000 less than you normally get. But some other things have been adjusted for the economy to kind of make that work. Hollows again being added to the map rotation. So yeah, cool. Oh, the best change, the absolute best change in this entire patch. Ranked as having Arena and Glacier removed. I could literally dance. Like, I am so happy. Those maps, I even tweeted about it yesterday. I said, on the day before, I said, if I get Glacier one more time, ...
I did see that.
And then this comes through today, and I'm like, okay, they're listening to something. Those maps just aren't competitive. They aren't, like, I haven't got any integrity about them for maps. Arena is a joke. Glacier is just a unorganized layout, honestly, for me. If I'm in a demo sense. Strikeout is kind of fun. Arena is kind of fun in Strikeout. But for demo, it's, hey, Glacier, do you control up top? Okay, you win. Good job. That's what it is.
Yeah, I find that with Glacier and Arena, it's not designed for competitive play. It's very much, there's too many avenues. There's too many cross diagonals. So it definitely creates more of a hunkered down mentality.
Yeah.
And if you think of it, like, if you're like, I still don't understand what Octane's getting at, look at like Windward or look at Skyfell and the pathing on those maps.
Yeah.
And now look at the pathing on Glacier.
Yeah.
Look at the pathing on Arena, and you could see it instantly.
Yeah.
Which is such a shame because like Arena was supposed to be like Dr. Disrespect's like competitive, blah, 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 and it's just like, no, like this is it's literally it screams, both of these maps scream Strikeout. Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
100%. If anything, I enjoy Glacier over Arena because I think Glacier is so much fun to play in a strikeout mentality.
Yeah.
Except for when they have the point in the middle on both lanes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what person was gonna decide to have fun and mess with the entire rogue community and put a site in the middle of what? Like,
I get you.
It doesn't even work.
It
doesn't even work.
I get you.
But yes.
But yeah, so I'm glad they've been removed. That really makes me feel good. You want to talk about Assault? You want to talk about limited time mode Assault? I don't think there's a lot really to talk about with this, so we sort of go over it kind of quickly.
Sure. All right, so I'll take this one. So I got it. So Assault here is a new limited time mode. So this lines up with like our wingmans that we've had recently, sabotage, and things like that. The attacking team will try to assault the active bomb site and plant the bomb. Okay, nothing special. They do this tactfully though, as they have a limited number of respawns. So this is taking a hybrid of demolition, but you're, instead of once and done with your death, you have respawns now.
Yeah.
But not as many as like a strikeout type of situation. So it's kind of a hybrid. This is a hybrid of demolition and strikeout. Maybe this is what I don't even remember what the game
Extraction.
mode. Extraction. Maybe this is what, I don't even remember it. It's like barely played. This is what Extraction maybe should have been.
Yeah.
Each team is a best of 7 rounds, lasting up to 4 minutes per round, so pretty decent side. Teams will switch sides after 3 rounds. Both teams begin with 12 respawns. So if Radthar dies 11 times, it's still a thing. We're still good. There's a single site that the attackers must plant and detonate the bomb at. If the bomb gets defused, it will reset and not end the round. That's interesting.
That is very interesting.
So let's say the bomb gets planted, minute 1, minute and a half, bomb gets defused, or minute and 20, bomb gets defused. The round doesn't end, and it doesn't award the team that win. What does it do? It will reset.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of, in my mind, like, and
so what do you do? How do you get a W for that round?
Here's gonna be a really bad analogy. It is, in my mind, like American football. You have your offensive side who have the bomb, and they just got to go get that touchdown and kind of keep it there. Is the kind of added bit. If the defensive line keeps them back, it just goes back. They just throw it back, and they have to restart all the way back from where it was. It's kind of what I imagine of, like, you just got to, like, it's more rugby actually. You just got to run, get this bomb down, and get it and hold it before it blows up. All the defending team have to do is defuse it if it goes down, but just stop you for 4 minutes or drain all your lives. That's what I see it as. And I actually kind of like it. It might be interesting.
So you keep trying. Know. Okay, so you keep... Okay.
You just keep going at it. Like, come on, we've got to get this guy. Let's get this bomb down.
You know what it almost is like? It's almost like a King of the Hill style, but the defensive team is holding the hill.
Yeah.
And they have to keep holding it as long... Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe this should have been renamed to King of the Hill. But all right.
Maybe. Not American
if the bomb
football.
stays idle for 20 seconds without the attacking team touching it, it will then reset as well. And it has a handful of map pools. I see Hollow in there.
Yeah.
I do see Glacier, but I don't see Arena. 2, 3, 4, 5, yep, decent amount.
9, 10, 11. It's 11 of the 13? No, 12 available. Yeah, so it's just Arena.
It's missing Arena. It's just missing Arena.
Good.
All right.
Cool.
That is the new map.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. And with the new game mode, as you said, comes a new map, and along with a lot of the game modes here, we'll see on the PTS will be the new map Hollows. I'll give you a quick overview in my best reading voice. With the information discovered by Glitch, Rogue Company has located Jackal's Hollow base. Built into an underground cavern in Southeast Asia, this top-secret installation is prepared to launch a stealth weapons platform into space. Jackal must be stopped, but in order to do that, the Rogues will face off against entrenched defenders among the caves and structures of the facility.
This book is read to you by Audible.
Dude, I think
you could be an Audible. You could be a voiceover. You could be a voiceover for Audible books, man. Should. Good job.
Yeah, I have different inflections as well in different voices.
That's
great.
right. You could do that from home. That'd be awesome.
But the map actually looks kind of cool. We don't have a solid look at it. We don't have an overview, but it looks aesthetically pleasing. Hopefully, it plays well. I don't really have much more to say.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, this is just a screenshot provided with the patch notes, but it looks. I don't want to use the word polished because I haven't seen the hitboxes of some of the boxes and stuff like that on the ground, but it looks good. It looks good.
It looks very Rogue Company, whereas Arena doesn't, obviously, but it looks very Rogue Company. Glacier, Glacier kind of looks Rogue Company, to be fair, but yeah, it looks good. I'm happy with it. It looks interesting. There's some lore kind of behind it. I like it. I'm happy.
Yep.
Rogue changes and balancing. Yay! This is where, when I read through the patch notes, like little things like made me a little bit sad during that. Little things made me happy during that part. Now we're getting into the Rogue challenges and balancing, and okay, let's do this. Dahlia, first one we're looking at, can no longer link to friendly players. Okay.
Downed.
Sorry, that'd be dumb. To downed friendly players. So the classic playstyle of letting your teammate go down and linking to them when they're down to revive them, and not playing for the passive and the link part is now being removed essentially. So you have to pre-link. You have to use Dahlia in a way that makes her strategically useful for the passive and choose that person to link to, or make a strategic link, not just, hey, you went down, I'm reviving you.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this? I'm interested.
I think this was an oversight that's just getting cleaned up and fixed.
Okay.
I think her ability was originally designed the way it was and the way it should have been, and this was oh yeah, we didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Players always find unique ways to use a lot of the these rogue abilities. I think this is just fixing what should have been in place from originally. I think this makes sense. Yeah. I see the value of this the way it is now, because you kind of wait till someone gets down, then you get close, you link up. It's like I thought the whole purpose was you drop out linked up. You adopted their passives and stuff. So I do think this is just this almost should have been placed under like quality of life changes.
Yeah, maybe
kind of like bug fixes.
I think for me, I always found it was actually okay, because I was like, okay, you give up the passive. You don't get a passive link. You take whatever passive it may be. Maybe your Dallas goes down, the passive is kind of useless. So, I get it. It now makes Saint the better medic, honestly. He's got a global revive. I think Dahlia at this point, and when we get into the tenacity thing as well, which was a large part of why she was strong, I think Saint is the better medic now. If you want a healer, you want a medic, Saint is the one you go for now, not Dahlia. Dahlia is there as a strategic option of, hey, I want fire immunity, will on 2 people, so I'm going to have her and link her to Scorch. I want double grenades for a really aggressive breach. I'm going to link to Trench, and Trench Dahlia will come back into meta, I think that's where Dahlia is going to fit into now. I don't think she is your classic medic. I don't think you can get away with not having Saint anymore. If you want a medic.
I don't think she was meant to be, though.
No,
I don't think
probably
she was
not
originally meant to be,
Probably not, but she was definitely used that way, and I do not think she's S tier anymore. I'm going to blatantly say that right now, and I won't make a tier list till a little bit later, but I do not think she's S tier after all some of these changes. Scorch, overheat her ability. The tick damage has been reduced from 5 per tick to 4 per tick, which essentially means in every bullet you land, it does 3 less damage. Over the amount of bullets it will take, there's probably about 10 less damage. So it's kind of significant, honestly. 10 to 12, 9 to 12 less damage. So
I think they're trying to play with ways to balance Scorch.
Yeah.
And this is just one little turn of that knob to say, let's change it and see where it ends. So I think that's where this comes from.
Yeah, I agree too. Sigrid. No longer has a... Oh, wait, let's go. So what we talked about last week, removing tracker rounds, and now is life drain. That is what we talked about last week. Our thoughts on that. What they've added up here is no longer has Evade, her $4,000 perk, now has a perk called Toughen Up, which provides 30% reduction to melee attacks.
Okay.
So that kind of addresses the issue I had with being able to be punched with a shield, because now you have you take reduced damage from the shield if you buy this perk, which is a starter perk essentially. It's a low price perk. Do you think they added this in order to set them up for future rogues that have different types of shield mechanics to them or similarities, so it's a perk, versus putting this on just the shield in general? Like, hey, we added this to her shield ability, because they could have went 2 different ways. They could have been a perk, or they could have went ahead and just made it as part of that ability that she uses with the shield. But instead, they decided to make it a perk. So that makes me go, what do they have in the pipeline, or what are they hoping to have that utilizes this perk as well? Yes, I would agree with that. I think that's exactly what it is, but that doesn't mean I'm not sad. It should have just been part of the shield anyway. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense. I'm bored of getting punched. I was playing Secret today, and I was just getting swamped because literally someone ran at me with an axe and started slapping me with an axe. And I'm like, okay, I can't do anything. So yeah, I'm annoyed this isn't just part of the shield, but I do see the potential that it may just be coming down the line for other things. So, Rogue Company. It's what I'm expecting. I'm learning high res as I play this game, and I'm learning that they think ahead with all these things now. Vi, of course, no longer has tenacity, now has bounce back, which is a buff. It's permanently decided it's a buff. When we talk about tenacity, I'll explain why. Let's go on to weapons and weapon changes. So the Arbitrator, the most annoying, unskillful, frustrating weapon in the game, has been
the noob cannon now.
The noob cannon has a damage reduced from 104, the one tap machine, to 90, so it will no longer one tap you to the body. And I actually think this is overly aggressive of a nerf. I think it could stay at 100, but reduce the fire rate and range. I actually put a tweet out with the exact balancing changes.
I think the range is critical. The range is critical.
But none of which has been changed, by the way. It's just the damage.
Yeah.
But which I think, again, is an over nerf. But if you're not doing the other things, it's necessary. And I just think it'll stop being played. And that's fine by me. The gun has been too obnoxious for too long now. I'm glad it's just going to be removed for a while. Even if they then go back and balance it, a hard nerf now to get it out my eyes is happy by me, honestly.
I think 104 would have been okay at, short range.
Yeah.
Your 1 to 3 meters or whatever, but then have it scale.
Yeah.
As range increases, that damage decreases.
I mean,
I would have been okay with that, and I think that would have been a better balance than just a flat out body damage reduction.
Yeah, I agree.
It seems like, I hate to say it, but it seems like lazy development work right there.
It's kind of too harsh. But I'm happy. I'm honest. I just want the gun out of the game, so it's fine. HRM 30k, which is the gun very similar to Sahara from Seeker, is getting a slight fix more than anything. Its bloom, its max accuracy loss, which is essentially the spread that it has when you fire, is being reduced because it was larger than desired. So it wasn't.
I agree with that.
They're just reducing it to make it a little bit better, which I'm happy with. I love the gun. Little buff for it. Happy days.
Yep.
Warren, as we talked about, little buff, very little buff. 1 meter increase in range and 1 body shot damage increase. Not significant at close range. Might add 1 less bullet of time to kill for some headshots at mid and long range.
I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid to go too much with this weapon based off of how it performed in the past. So they're like, let's just move it forward a tiny bit.
Literally, that little turn of the dial, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And that's all the weapon changes. That's not too bad at all. Now,
so do you think it's best for us to discuss economy overall instead of like
go through every single one? I think so.
Yeah. Let's go through. Yeah, let's just go through it from like an economy perspective.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a high overview, just as a lump sum? What are they changing about the economy in Rogue Company? Because I think that's going to be the biggest talking piece and the biggest thing we see on social over the next few days.
Exactly. Okay, so because of the demolition changes to the amount of rounds you have, they've had to adjust the economy. And
strikeout.
And strikeout.
Longer games ticks.
Yeah, true. They've had to adjust the economy, and they've done this by changing the price of a lot of things. Some of the weapons have changed price, some of the gadgets, and all the perks have changed price, essentially. And I'll give a sort of high overview of exactly how that's been. So, the first thing is that melee weapons are being increased ever so slightly. The upgrades for melee weapons are being increased to 2,500 rather than 2,000. Minimal change. They're pretty strong. Kind of makes sense. You have more money throughout the game now, most likely, so it's fine. The SMGs and shotguns are, and this is what I definitely want to touch on, is having their base value reduced from an 8,000 to purchase, like every other gun, to 7,000. And I think we'll come back and talk about the individual changes, but this is infuriating me. As for gadgets, what they've done is your lethal gadgets. So currently in the game, every gadget costs 4,000 to buy initially and 4,000 to upgrade at the 2 upgrade tiers. Now lethals are being increased to a 5,000 base cost. So these are things like your incendiary grenades, your Semtex, your C4, your frag grenades, your bounce grenades.
It's forcing them to be more late game.
Exactly. Whereas your more supportive equipment, your non-lethal equipment, some are staying at 4,000. So this is your smoke grenades and flash grenades, I believe, are staying at this. But all the other ones like the EMPs and the gas grenades, the kind of less impactful ones, you could argue, are being reduced to 3,000. And with that also, the upgrade for some of them being reduced. So I'm not going into the iffy details of it, but they're basically reducing the cost of the least important non-lethals. The important non-lethals are staying about the same, and the lethals are getting an increase. As for the perks, because these are also changing, I will touch on them also. All $4,000 perks are being reduced to $3,000. I don't think there's an exception to that rule. The $6,500 perks are all being reduced to 5,000, except for tenacity, which is being increased to 8,000 and nerfed, so that it now doesn't reduce it by 40% incoming blast damage, explosive damage. It now reduces it to 30% decreased damage. But what that means is that C4 will still damage it, and grenades, which have also received a buff to deal 150 damage at their max upgrade.
Especially Seeker grenades, too.
Exactly. Yep. But frag grenades are having a buff, so they get a max upgrade 150 damage rather than 125, which they were previously, to match the damage of C4. Means that both of those, even if you have tenacity, will kill you. If you have tenacity and headstrong, they won't. But if you have tenacity, they will. Great.
Yes.
I know 3 rogues have.
But that combination is insane. I mean, look at that. Headstrong 12 is going to now be 12k.
Yep.
And then your tenacity is going to be 8k. It's like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to spend $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when are you going to be able to afford that? Like, that's insanity.
In your extra 4 rounds of Demolition you have to play.
Right, yeah.
And touching on what Octane said there, the $10,000 perks getting ever so slightly adjusted. Headstrong, Life Drain, and Tracker rounds are all going to 12,000.
Yep.
Resupply is going to 11,000. And then Life Drain and Replenish is staying at 10,000. And that's the change, essentially, to the economy system within the game.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my initial overall thought, and then I'll let you speak.
Tell me where you think they're trying to go with this. What flow are they trying to change about the games?
My thought is very simple. I like the idea behind it. I like the idea that, hey, you've added more rounds. If that's the way you're going, whether I agree with it or not, you do have to adjust the economy. It makes sense. Maybe some things, should it be upped in price? Maybe $10,000 perks should be 12,000 for more late game carry. Mm-hmm. Maybe 3,000 is better for your starter perks. What I don't like, and what's really bugging me about the weapons and bugging me about some of the perks as well, especially tenacity, is and actually the gadgets as well, is they are actively telling you what is more valuable. They are telling you that a lethal is more valuable than a non-lethal. They're telling you that tenacity, that's a bounce back. Tenacity is more valuable than bounce back or helping hands, or that Life Drain is more valuable than Lifeline.
Just by cost.
Just by cost. And I think that's a dangerous game because I think they're wrong in a lot of situations. I don't think the tenacity is necessarily, I kind of do, better than helping hands or bounce back. But
we did say tenacity was the best perk.
Maybe that wasn't the best example, but I wouldn't say that. I would say that Lifeline is one of the strongest perks in the game, also, and that is saying it's at current price. Whereas I think that's more valuable than Headstrong, for example, personally, in my opinion. And it's a strange one. The big one that gets me is the weapons, and this was one of the other things I was asked the question of do I think that shotguns should be cheaper than ARs, or DMR should be more expensive, or snipers should be more expensive? And I said no, because weapons are good at their different ranges and in their different situations, and SMG will beat a DMR up close, and that does not mean the SMG is less valuable than the DMR, or the DMR is less valuable than the SMG, because they all have their place. Exactly. It's not like the SMGs are just like meh, I will absolutely beam someone with an SLC at mid-range against and they have an AR. It's possible. It's more than possible. It's likely. And that's what bugs me, is they've now said, SMGs and shotguns, they're less valuable than ARs and DMRs. And I don't like that. But I'm going to let you speak now because I'm getting heated.
So, this system, as you talk through it, and I'm listening, and I'm trying to think through games to compare to, because I think that's best for our viewers. And I'm going to reference back to this game because this is, I played this for years. I actually will age myself and say I played in 1.5, which was CSGO or Counter-Strike, not CSGO. CSGO is more recent. But this mentality, if you think about CSGO, and if those of you guys not familiar, CSGO, you start out with your pistol round, and then you can afford, kind of the next level up. And a lot of the times you'll go with like an SMG first to get you by. And you may hold that SMG for many rounds, and then eventually, you can afford to move to your AR, or as we talked about, your DMR and your sniper is more expensive, like your op and stuff like that, or your auto if you're a terrible player like that. But this is what that system reminds me of. It very heavily reminds me of CSGO, where it is tiering off the weapons by cost and making it visible. And it's encouraging, like when I look at this, I'm like, okay, so you're encouraging SMG play, and then you're encouraging these cheap perks. So it's like, I want you to blow your money on cheap SMGs and cheap perks early on for your novice characters versus other characters of a hold your pistol, build your perks up or save for a better perks, and that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's where my mind goes with this. So it is turning the buy time into almost a little mini game now.
Yeah.
And it's definitely adding in some diversity, which I'm okay with diversity. I'm okay with everybody plays a little different. Their perks and selections and stuff are a little different, because we don't want cookie cutter. Like, you need to play this way on Lancer. You need to go this first, this second, this third, this fourth. Like, we don't want that. We want diversity. We want differences. But yeah, this screams a CS:GO style mentality to me. Yeah, I mean, that's the only direction I go in that regard. So what do you, any thoughts or feedback on what I'm thinking? Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you got?
I think you're absolutely right. And I actually was talking about this in my chat with Die Hard a little bit. And based off
Who?
We got hey, it's Roguecast. We have to mention Die Hard at some point. But yeah, we were talking about that this might be a bridge patch to a overhauled Rogue Company that is a essentially different game. That is more CS:GO, like that is more in terms of that. And part of the reason I think that, and it's because you may have seen his vote that he did up on YouTube about perks being available to everybody and what the community's response to that was, which was heavily negative, by the way. Everyone hated it. I was also asked that question through DMs. And given the current pattern, I'm very nervous that they're gonna remove what for me is the best part about Rogue Company, and that is that you have a individual rogue who has a kit built for them, class mechanic. It's built for them. It's theirs. That is what they're designed for. And you can do whatever you want within that. You know, you can upgrade based on how much money you're earning, based on how well you're playing. You know, you can build it exactly how you want. Maybe you're focusing upgrades, like for smokes. Maybe that's your role. And they're turning it into, you have a cosmetic character with an ability and a passive, but you can do what you want with it. Like, you know, go get the tier on Dahlia. You know, that's great. You know, get replenished while you're at it, and life drain, and get all these amazing perks. And that is what I'm afraid the game is going to turn into. And
all right.
Yeah.
Here's my rant. Here's my rant.
I'm ready for it. Ready for it.
All right. So, how do I say this in the least amount of words possible? If you want another Realm Royale situation, keep doing what you're doing, Rogue Company, because that's the direction you're going to take this if you decide to eliminate some of the core foundation of your game as to why people are attracted to it. People attach themselves to mains, to characters, their enjoyment. You are going to, why do we have to do this? No one is pushing for this. This is another incentive. This is not coming from the community. What are you doing? Because no one is asking for this. So this is another one where I'm like, please don't do this.
Yeah.
Do you not know what you destroyed with Realm Royale? Realm Royale is literally like the poster child. Like, when they're in 10 years from now, when you go to school for game development, Realm Royale is in there as a things you don't do.
Yeah.
And you don't change your game direction 10 times over a 2-year period. From, we're going to get rid, we have classes. That's what makes this game fun. Now we're going to add Call of Duty weapons into it. Now we're going to add 6-man queues versus 4. And we might get rid of classes. Wait, what? Like, this is a key example of, don't get rid of the things that attract people to your game. Your audience is there.
Yeah.
Like, so anyways, rant over.
No.
The least amount of words didn't happen. No. But that's my concern.
And I completely agree. Again, just to clarify, this is not settings. That's not going to happen. What we just said. This is us theory crafting based on patterns and the way it looks like it's heading. And my big thing, if people are like listening to this and thinking, wow, you know, the Rogue Company's dying, you know?
Yeah.
No. That is going to be my understatement. No. It looks like it could head a bad direction, is what it might be. Doesn't mean it is. This patch is not a killer patch. If what we said happens, if the next patch is what we just said, it might be. That'll be the killer. This is a potential testing ground to see if they want to go there. And that is why I'm going to urge every single person who's listening to this podcast, if you play on PC, right? Download a key for the PTS server. Go and play this, go and test it, and go give your feedback. If you're not on PC, watch your favorite streamers. Watch Octane, watch me, watch whoever, watch Die Hard, whoever it be, but me. Play the PTS this weekend. play the PTS this weekend and form opinions based on what you see and give feedback.
Yeah.
They need feedback.
Yeah.
They need to hear what the community is saying, and hopefully they'll listen. And I'll be putting out as big a voice as I can about the changes I think we should see. But this isn't the death of Rogue Company. Here is a potential direction the game may go, and we need to decide whether we want that by playing it. We can theory craft as much as we want, but until we get in game and test it, we don't know. And it's why there's a small part of optimism that has enlightened me since I read these the first time. And I'm hopeful that we're looking okay, and we can see it, and we can say yes or no to certain elements, and be okay. Yep. For me, but tenacity just needs tenacity. I'm going to very quickly say this, because I want to put it out into the internet. Tenacity, very simple fix to make it viable in its current state is you either drop it down to 5,000 with the other perks and keep it how it is, or you increase it to 12,000 and revert it back to 40%. They're the two. That's the way you go with it. You do one or the other, and you keep tenacity as strong as it was at a higher price, or you lower it and keep it less effective, and that's how you counter it. Because paying 8,000 to counter an $8,000 perk probably shouldn't be the way. Paying 8,000 to upgrade your equipment to counter a $5,000 perk makes sense, or paying 12,000 so that nobody can counter you, I think is fair.
I'm okay with the increase of the cost, but I don't like the fact that you've now not only you've put a paywall in front of it, but now you've nerfed it. It's like
exactly you've done two things.
How much? Yeah, like, you're like
you've double nerfed it. How would you? Why would you do that?
Agree.
It's like
I agree.
And by the way, I did have to touch on it. That's why Vi is a buff. By the way, is because now tenacity is no one's gonna buy tenacity, and in its current state, I'm not gonna buy tenacity. There's no point. It might be worth it for the first 4 rounds, but the next 3 or next 4. Because it's 8 now, it's not worth it. Yes. So there's almost no point investing $8,000 when you could invest the $8,000 into a gadget upgrade that will then beat any Muppet that's bought tenacity. So, you know, that's how I feel, which means bounce back is better because it works better with her passive for the extra health anyway. So Vi's getting a buff. Woo, go Vi. S tier, always. Told you. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on all this. I mean, do you have anything else you want to talk about in regards to the patch notes, the buffs, the balancing?
It's a really big patch.
Yes, it's huge. It's bigger than the season 1 patch.
Yes. I am always concerned when we see patches as large. Because I am of the school of thought of, okay, give us smaller patches of more value, and we can kind of tweak along the way versus patches this big. We're introducing a new rogue. We got a new map. We got a new game mode. Oh, and by the way, we're changing our existing game modes. It's just, this is a little too much, too fast. Yeah. And from my perspective, we have all of 2021. Slow down, guys. So end of the day, too big of a patch, needs to be smaller, and I want to see more time in PTS. This PTS time, like what is like this is you're asking people to provide full feedback on probably the biggest patch in the game so far, and you only get from Saturday morning to Sunday night. That's it. It's like
during CMG, by the way.
When I saw this,
when
I saw it, originally it was this, as you had talked about, this gigantic time period. It was like quite a number. It was like 6 weeks, and I was like, way to go. Good for you guys. You guys are running a PTS for weeks. You're going to have so much good data. And then I'm like, what? So you've changed it. So, yes, that's my thoughts on the patch overall from a high level.
Yes, and I'm very much in the same sentiment. I think I made my opinion is very vocal during this of, you know, some of this is just nutty. Some of it's amazing. Some of it's so good, you know. I don't think changing tenacity is a bad idea. I think the way they change tenacity is a bad idea. I don't think nerfing or changing the economy is that bad of an idea if you've decided to then increase rounds. I don't know why you increase rounds, but changing the economy is a good idea if you've done that. The way you've changed it is not the best. You know,
agreed.
You know, Seeker might be cool. Who knows? But yeah, there's some certain things that just frustrate me, and I think a lot of it is I don't feel listened to. And I'm sure the community feels that way too. And you know, those questions weren't even reached out to you guys, like to the community of like, you know, I got asked some of these questions specifically, and I said no, and they're still here. Like, you know, so I'm feeling especially hurt right now.
Hey, you know they're not asking me. They just get a mouthful. Like, why even ask that guy?
I keep my response to about 2 or 3 sentences. I feel like you'd paragraph it.
That's right.
Is that an essay?
My first question would be, how much time do you have?
So no, I think the biggest thing I actually want people to take away from this is do not worry too much. Let's see how it goes. I mean, actually, to be fair, by the time you're watching this, you've probably seen it all because it'll be Monday. And we will have done PTS. Yep. Obviously, next week, we'll be talking about this all again, about how we've responded to it, how we actually think about it and stuff. But yeah, no, interesting indeed.
All right, you ready? Your last thing I'm going to say. So this weekend's PTS.
Mm-hmm.
That means this patch is coming out on Wednesday the 3rd or Wednesday the 10th. So my guess is they go through PTS, they rush it, and they drop it on the 3rd. So my guess is
hoping 10th.
By our next, my guess, by our next show, this patch will be dropped. That's a guess. We'll find out. It's unfortunate, but you got to think about it. Okay, ready? Just to say, if they go the 10th, now they're in the middle of March, and bam, now we're in April. Guess what? Q1's done. 2021, our first 3 months are done. They've only released 2 rogues. Which is, they said they're going to release 8. So if they're going to release 8 in 2021, that means the season 2 is going to be coming quick. You know, it's just, I'm just starting to think through it. It's like, my thought, if it's not next week on the 3rd, it's the 10th.
I will agree with 10th. I think it's because that's also 6 weeks after Castro, and they have a 6 week pattern with rogues.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to agree with you.
We'll find out.
On 10th.
We'll find out.
Pain is how to describe these feelings. Hey, that's gonna take us to the end of the show, then, guys. That is Roguecast episode 5. We're back next week again with episode 6. Let us know what you thought down in the comments below, and let us know what audio platforms you would like to see Roguecast on as well. So Octane can go do that because he's a whiz and I'm useless. All our links and socials will be down in the description below, guys. Make sure you check us out outside of Roguecast times as well. I want to thank everybody for watching. Until next week, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and we'll catch you in the next one.